welcome to Trek Table, your Sunday weekly podcast holding Trek space for
Black, Indigenous, Brown,
women of color,
queer or otherwise,
and our allies. Hello, I'm your host, Dela, and today I'm holding Trek space for leaders willing to go the distance for what they believe.
Hello, I'm your co-host, Claudia, and today I'm holding Trek space for folks taking a look at themselves, because as you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you might take a look at your life and realize there's nothing left.
Hi, I'm your co-host, Maia, and I'm holding Trek space for anybody who might have been, kind of honestly triggered by some of the images of Haitians at the border.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hi, I'm your co-host, Maya Mama, and I'm holding Trek space for anyone making a mistake and just moving right through it.
Hi, I'm your guest, Lulu Matute, and I'm holding Trek space for our communities and extended families in transit throughout the U.S.-Mexico border regions. For the migrants and asylum seekers struggling to find a safe place called home, we see you, and we too envision better worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Welcome to the Trek Table. We want to continue to acknowledge not only what we're holding Trek space for, but we want to acknowledge that our teams are for the Trek Table are on the unceded land of the Tongva, the Chumash, the Quiche, the Ohlone, the Puyallup, the Pawtucket, and Massachusetts peoples. We are grateful for the Indigenous stewards of these lands, the ancestors who have come before, and those who are here now, and those who have yet to come. As we hold all these things together, I want to invite listeners and viewers in the chat and friends here to figure out and acknowledge whose lands are you on. So let's go ahead and all take a breath in through our nose and out through your mouth.
Thank you, all of you, for joining us today as we hold Trek space for women of color here in front of our live digital audience on Outside In Theater's YouTube channel, as well as all of y'all listening on the podcast archive.
Our opening track for this episode is titled Chicana Skies by the band Quetzal, off their album Quetzal. You'll be hearing several tracks from them throughout this episode of Trek Table. Follow them at Quetzal Music on Instagram and see our show notes or the chat for a link to their merchandise and more.
Yes, we want to formally welcome everybody to episode 29 of the Trek Table. We are at 29 episodes. Thanks so much for showing up for this conversation with women of color about Star Trek Discovery, Season 2, Episode 12. The Valley of Shadows, through the Valley of the Shadows, right? I'm super excited. The Valley of the Shadows. There's so many. You sang the song, and I'm in the song. Okay, so we are here today to have a great episode on this Trek Table. I'm a little bit flubby, but it's because we're about to deep dive into this episode. We'll talk time crystals on Boreth, those sibling shenanigans with Burnham and Spock as they fight control. Oh, and can we talk about the phasers in the future with the power to disintegrate and no recoil?
Mm-hmm. We are so glad you're joining this Black, Indigenous, Women of Color Trek conversation. Hello and welcome. So that we can build with each other, how do you enter this conversation? As a Star Trek fan? Are you Star Trek curious, a newbie, an OG Trekkie, Star Trekking family, Star Trek femme, Trek zaddy, Trek baby? Let us know in the chat.
Welcome back, and today's Trek Table episode number 29. We're going to dive deep into the Star Trek Discovery Season 2, Episode 12 that we've been talking about, and we're going to explore this episode in a couple of different ways. We're going to look at some Trek Table questions. We're going to play some popcorn recap and see if we can't do a three-peat and get through that timer in time. Claudia's here with some Discovery design. Maya's got looks for Space Runway. We're going to braid it all together with me and Thematix. And don't forget Spoiler Zone. I'm sure Maya Mom's got some things to say today. We also have a signal boost, our final thoughts, and we always share gratitude. We're so excited that you all are here and you can continue to join us. So as we move through this next part of our practice, we're just about to get into these conversations. But first, let's hear a little bit about who's at this table with us today. I'm going to invite folks to go around, share your name, your pronouns, your visual description, any access check-in. And finally, to answer that question that Maya Chinchilla asked us, how do you enter as a Star Trek fan? Maya, since you posed that question before the break, can I ask you to go first?
Sure. Hi, I'm Maya. I go by she, her, hers pronouns. I'm a Guatemalan mestiza. I'm wearing pink lipstick today and magenta purplish hair. My access needs are mostly met. I've got some tea with me. And if you hear some growling, it could either be my stomach, it could be my co-pilot chorizo, but it is not Klingons. So I am safe. But I identify as a Star Trek fan, a little sci-fi curious, and I'm so happy to be here today.
Awesome. Claudia, can I invite you to go next?
Sure. Gender pronouns, they, there, she, hers. Visual description, African-American woman wearing a disco shirt, and I am sitting on the bridge of the original Star Trek. And let's see. And I'm an African-American woman with a big old brown afro. My access check-in is that I am in the middle of a gigantic muscle flare. I'm physically disabled. So you might see me go, oh, or pull a face. Today, I'm never pulling a face at one of your Star Trek opinions. I'm pulling a face because one of my muscles is pulling me. Also, we still got some smoke in the air, or it might just be allergies. So I have got tissues on hand, as well as my Earl Grey tea hot. Other than that, all of my access needs are met, and I identify as a generational Star Trek, got it from my mama, and I'm a poly sci-fi. I love all the things.
Thank you. Maya Mama.
I'm Maya Mama. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a youngish looking, middle-aged Black woman. I am on the bridge of the Discovery. I'm wearing a red original series uniform and some sparkly blue makeup and a nude lip. I'm from a generational Star Trek family, and I identify as poly sci-fi. Also, all my access needs are met.
Amazing. Maya, can I invite you to introduce our guest today?
Sure. I'm super excited to introduce our guest who was on briefly with Space Runway a couple weeks back, but formally welcome her to the Trek table. Welcome, Lulu Matute. Lulu is a Chicago-bred, Silicon Valley-based Central Caribbean scholar, activist advocating for legislative support to address the root causes of forced migration from Honduras. She's a desert aid EMT and a wilderness search and rescue specialist in the U.S.-Mexico border regions and Northern California national parks. Thanks so much for joining us today. Can I ask you to introduce yourself to the table and our friends listening, and ask those that are listening to also introduce yourselves in the chat? Pronouns, visual description, access check-in. How do you identify as a Star Trek fan, Lulu?
Hey, thank you for having me on today. I use she, her, they, them pronouns, visual description. I'm sitting in front of a bookshelf area with a solid collection of Octavia Butler's books and Love and Rockets comics. I'm wearing a tie-dye Santa Cruz hoodie, funky blue-green glasses, unkept but freshly washed hair, smell like coconuts. Access check-in. I'm managing a bit of carpal tunnel. But other than that, all my access needs are met, and I identify as a sci-fi, poly, flirty Trek baby.
Yes.
Okay. Well, welcome. All right. We welcome all the friends to the table.
Yeah, I don't know if you had smells before too. Coconut.
Okay. Sensory check-in is an important part of all space sharing, so I support it. What's up, everybody? I'll close out this check-in. I'm Dela. My pronouns are she, he, they, or Dela. I'm a mixed Filipinx person sitting in front of a green screen with the Cathedral of Boreth behind me. I'm super excited about it. And my hair is up a little bit today, looking like a wave. And I'm doing good. My access check-in is I didn't take the bio break I thought I did, and so it's gonna be an exciting show. So I'm good. And I guess I just want to say I come to this conversation as a Trek fan from back in the day, watching KCOP Channel 13 reruns here in Los Angeles, and then really falling in love with Star Trek Next Generation. I would say, yes, I'm definitely sci-fi, poly, And I'm really, really, really in this amazing primary relationship with Star Trek Discovery, and I'm just so happy to be here. And yeah, I guess I would say that is all I have. So that's who we are. We invite our friends in the chat, and those of you listening on the podcast, to think about who you are and how you would enter. How are you entering this Star Trek conversation? And our final bit of business before we actually jump into our discussions is we just want to name the table agreements, right? So we want to welcome all who enter, whether you're a newbie like Lulu or you were raised in a Star Trekking generational family like Maia Mama. Welcome. Let's build this space together.
Whether you use Trek Table as your nerdy exploration or as part of your self-care ritual, Trek Table is a weekly space to put down the world for a second and come into Trek space.
This is a space for Black, Brown, Indigenous women of color to be a fan, a geek, a nerd, and explore the vastness of the Star Trek multiverse.
Trek Table is also a place for allies to come, engage, and explore as well. This is an opportunity for allies to hold space and focus on insights, perspectives, and experiences that we may not be familiar with.
And now that we are all here, we remind you that we seek to build an environment of mutual respect and listening. We understand we're going to disagree, and that's actually part of the fun, but there's enough hate happening out there in the world. So please keep your phasers on stun.
Yes, so let's go ahead and breathe in all of those agreements. Go ahead and take a breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Thank you.
And that brings us to our first Trek Table question posed to our Trek Table assembled here. And those of y'all participating in Outside In YouTube's channel's chat, what is your favorite auto-antonym? Welcome back, y'all. So we're about to play an actual Star Trek game. This was a game they were playing in the Star Trek lunchroom, y'all. We're gonna get wild like Linus. I am here for it. Are you ready to play auto-antonyms? And I'm now going to let you know what an auto-antonym is, because I didn't know what it was, and I felt it had to be explained to me just the same. An auto-antonym is a word that means the opposite of itself. So you can say it and it can mean what it means and also the opposite of itself. Let's try. I'm going to start with you, Maia. Maia, what is a good auto-antonym?
You know, I had to look it up, of course. So I don't know if it's my favorite, but I like the word sanguine, which means as a noun, it's murderous, but an adjective, cheerfully optimistic. And I see the words like blood, you know, like sangre in it. So yeah,
that's juicy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, because you could be insanguinated. That's wild. Okay, sanguine. I thought sanguine meant to be like chill. It means to be murderous? Oh no, I've been calling some people murderous, y'all.
Well, as an adjective, it's cheerfully optimistic.
Oh, okay. This is a fun game. Okay, Maia Mama, what's an auto-antonym?
I am going to choose awful. Awful, which means it's awe-inspiring, full of awe. Or it also means like derisively bad.
Yeah. All right. Word. Nice. Shout out from the audience. Okay. All right. Well, I won't. I actually just got a call. Y'all, I'm letting you know. This is a backstage stuff. I've just been told to not name what the audience just told me. So I'm going to go straight to Dayla. Dayla, what you got? Give me an auto-antonym.
Thank you. The best hand, the left. It means departed from and remaining all at the same time.
All right. I love it. I'm gonna do handicap, Why? Because you can handicap, so you can give someone a handicap, which matches my disabled, like the societal definition of disability. So you can handicap someone, or you can have a handicap. So I think it means the opposite of what it means. Did I do it right? I made up this game. Did I do it right? Okay. Hey, Lulu, what do you got? What's a good auto antonym?
The word dust, as in I need to dust my bookshelf of dust while releasing dust particles in the air. So I'm going to go with dust to clean and to create a mess at the same time.
I understand now why you had a matchy match in the audience. Audience was feeling you. Audience was saying the same thing. I think this bodes well for our entire show today. When the hosts and the audience are in sync, everything is in sync. And that was our Trek Table question number 1. I hope you enjoy playing the auto antonym game at home.
Yes, and the Trek Table is proud to be a part of the digital theater platform at Outside In Theater. Like and subscribe to the Outside In YouTube channel for our weekly live digital recordings. If you're listening on our podcast, check them out at youtube.com/OUTSIDEINTHEATRE, Outside In Theater. Ah, yes, and with that song Matanzas by our house band, or the band in our house, ¿Qué tal? We know that it is time for Popcorn Recap. The game is simple. We have 2.5 minutes to share chunklets of plot from this week's episode.
Today it will be season 2, episode 12, Through the Valley of Shadows, directed by Douglas Arianosky. I don't know if I've actually pronounced that name accurately, so y'all let me know. And written by Bo Young Kim and Erica Lippold.
And we think it's funny because Lulu and I are Star Trek newbies. Claudia and Maya Mama come from a generational Star Trek family, and Dayla loves minutia. Can we do it?
Rachel, set 2.5 minutes on the timer. Can we go for a
Incoming
3P?
transmission.
Okay, so the episodes start with like Burnham laying down on her bed and like she's watching this thing of her mom, Gabrielle Burnham, and then like she gets a space Skype from her adoptive mom, Amanda Grayson, and then Spock walks in and is like, "Yeah, I told mom what's up." And there's a new signal. Sorry.
Oh yes, the new signal. It's the 4th one, and it appears over Boreth, a place sacred to the Klingons, where a Klingon monastery dedicated to Kallus is located, and monks guard the time crystals. Tyler and Chancellor Laurel left their son there to be raised by these monks about maybe a month back.
And then Burnham thinks, oh yeah, whatever with Boreth. What we need to do is find Control, Leela Troll. We need to find Leela Troll, get some payback, and handle the real problem. But Discovery has all the sphere data on it, so they have to keep it away from Control. So like logically they can't do that. So Saru is like, yo, I give you permission for a secret private mission, go. And then like Spock is like, but I'm coming with Sith. I have a duffel bag.
Right on. Laurel and Ash fighting in Klingon about who should go to Boreth, but their secret is so dangerous they decide Pike should visit the monastery to retrieve the time crystal. He finds the son is now a fully grown adult named Tanavik.
Tanavik explains that on Boreth, he's affected by the crystals, and that if Pike takes one, that he won't be able to change the future that it shows him. So then Pike sees a future where he is severely disabled and by an accident, but he chooses to take the crystal to serve the greater good.
Burnham and Spock, meanwhile, leave to investigate the Section 31 ship that didn't check in on time, and then they find all these bodies floating in space, and then they have one scan, one guy, Cameron Grant, still alive, beam him on board, warm him up.
And then on Discovery, Jet Reno gets treatment for a hangnail, and she shares about her late wife and gives Culber advice on recommitting to Stamets.
Yeah. But back on the Section 31 ship, they go onto the ship to investigate it. But like Leela Cole Gant, he's a control person. He had control in him, and he lured her there because they want to steal the sphere data and make her a control bot.
Burnham does scary hand-to-hand combat with Control Gant. Spock types fast and stops Control with magnetism, and they escape back to Discovery.
Pike, he debriefs Ash and Laurel and gives Ash his torchbearer medallion.
And they tell him the name of the kid is Tanavik. Oh, great name. And then all of a sudden, Section 31's fleet is flying towards them. 30 ships come to force Pike and Discovery, and they decide we should destroy the ship.
Y'all, that's a turkey. That's a turkey.
In bowling, right?
Yes, in bowling. In bowling. I don't have enough turkeys to give to everybody.
I love it. I love it. Well, we wanted to celebrate and say, good job, 3Pete. We did it with Popcorn Recap. Super excited. Congrats, table. Thank you so much, Lulu, for jumping in with us. Now, if you're listening or you're watching us and you feel like you want a different kind of recap, you want to dig in, you want to see some photos, we respect that. We invite you to go check it out at Women at Warp. Sue did their recap there. And check out the link in the episode notes or in the chat.
If you're having a good time, let's keep the dialogue going. Like and follow us on Instagram at Trek Table and on Twitter at TrekTable_table. Keep it extra. And join our convos at hashtag TrekTable, hashtag BIWC Trek, hashtag Star Trek Discovery.
Welcome to Discovery Design, where we're going to dish on the design elements giving us all this drama. I think I would like to start with places or sections. Let's start with section 31, because we had some grisly and interesting design details. I'm just gonna open up the floor. Anybody, go ahead and mention anything that was nasty up in section 31 or interesting.
I mean, I'll go first. I mean, Gant disguised as Control. I just felt super manipulated because Control, aka Gant, like got all hugs from Burnham and stuff. So just a lot of like computer, I don't know, kerfuffery to try to hide the fact that Control is Control.
I'll add to that. You know, I'm a longtime fan of Sir Marvin the Martian and all iterations and prototypes of the disintegration pistols. He failed a lot, but I love the concept. So I was very impressed with the phaser's super powerful ability to disintegrate both organic matter. We saw that with Gant, and metal. Yeah, a huge hole. Seeing that there was no recoil in something so powerful is really neat. Especially for those of us who go target shooting with carpal tunnel. It's a tough life out here. And I have carpal tunnel, so this is serious. I did find a replica of the phaser on Etsy for about $30. I was just unclear on whether or not it shoots a laser beam. My cats would love that, but I found that to be really neat.
Laser lights.
That's amazing. I'm assuming that probably it doesn't come with the laser, but as soon as you cop that, please let us know. I will want to get some vicarious funsies. I've been feeling like I need to get a phaser for this show anyway. I just want to echo Dela's feeling super manipulated by Control inside the body of Gant, because all of the bodies were out there floating in space. That was such an eerie, horrifying image for them to float. Okay. So for those listening, they just heard us vocally respond to the image that they are sharing to the rest of the audience, which is Gant trying to get all up inside of her eyeball. It's Control trying to insert itself through her eyeball into her and kill her and take over her body. Ooh, not here for it. But I did want to name that eerie, evocative image of them like coming into a space where the bodies were just floating. Just automatic horror show. Such like horrible imagery, so that when they found Gant, I was hungry as an audience member for Gant to be a good guy and to be alive. What else do we have in section 31?
The bodies made you hungry. I was like, oh wait, I'm glad it went where it went. Yes. Sorry about that.
Totally. Was anybody else struck? We just saw an image on the screen with the shuttlecraft screen, and then there's also like I noticed the shuttlecraft was able to scan bodies. I don't know if anybody else saw that.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that resonated with me coming from emergency medical services. We're taught triaging, and the importance of that is going through any mass casualty incident and identifying who's live, prioritizing care. And that takes a long time. And you have to move through an incident and attend to everybody in this color coding tagging system that is used for fire, that is used in all aspects of of emergency response, but to see that they have the tech on board where they're just scanning and they're getting all the information they need, right? Vitals, whether they're deceased or the probability of their survival, and they're able to instantaneously get that information and make decisions on who then should be beamed. We know it's Gant or not, but they're able to make these decisions in split seconds. And coming from EMT, I thought that was a really neat tech design for this episode.
I'm always watching Star Trek and wanting the thing that they're showing us. We got our iPads. Maybe now, maybe the next thing that they'll make will be this beautiful scanning technology so that we can help everybody's health. That'd be beautiful. All right, y'all. I actually want to stay in section 31, but I know that this is a time-based show, so we should probably move forward. So I'll just really quickly be like Gant with the bots coming out of his body. That was some pretty freakiness. For those listening, we showed some visuals of the hole that was shot through Gant's body, as well as Gant's body becoming a horrible, tentacle monster coming at you. It was just, again,
that kind of reminded me. That kind of reminded me of the replicators from Stargate SG-1.
Indeed, yes.
Which I just thought was kind of interesting that way with the little tiny microbots and
a little bit of Terminator imagery as well from all the different Terminator movies. I'm loving it. But let's move ourselves forward to Boreth, that beautiful planet of Boreth. It's a cold planet. It's got sexy bathlets. They were very ornate bathlets. Did y'all notice that? They were very pretty. I've never wanted a batlet because they just seem like a really large souvenir to have, but now I want one, but only a Boreth one. What did y'all enjoy on the cat?
They're ornate because they're monk batlets. That's why they're ornate. Yeah. Because they're prayerful, and spiritual or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
For ritual.
They're ceremonial.
Yeah.
I was totally struck by and I just feel like we saw this even from, season 1, episode 1, where we get the kind of cathedral-like Ship of the Dead. This feels like, this is in the same universe of olden Klingon times. These are their chapels. This is what it looks like. These are the archways they had. And just was super impressed with only 3 monks in the first room, and just, I don't know, the Pike opening the door. There's just so many shots, the lava flowing. It's cold, but there's lava. It's just so many beautiful things happening on Boreth.
That castle. Yeah, it reminded me of that episode on Doctor Who where he's trapped in a castle that's inside of a time watch or something. I'm spoiling things for Doctor Who fans. Sorry, y'all, but it reminded me of that castle. Do we have any other castle? Yeah, right? When he's trapped in there, all those hallways, just those gothic. I don't know if it's gothic. Does anyone here know anything about architecture or buildings or history?
I did look up the shooting location of Boreth here on Earth, of the monastery.
Okay.
And I found that it's Knox College at the University of Toronto, the St. George's campus. And looking online, there are all these pictures of students in the halls. In this beautiful structure, there's several wedding photos of happy couples, of course. Boreth on Earth is much brighter than the monastery. I didn't find any Boreth monastery-inspired weddings, though I could see a Marilyn Manson or Dennis Rodman pulling off some wicked cool ceremonies. The Knox College shooting location is surprisingly small. So again, props to that Emmy-winning design team who was able to use camera angles, lighting to make the place look ginormous enough to house a bunch of Klingon monks and those sky-high candles that we saw.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, thank you for doing that extra research. That's so wonderful. I gotta say, I was really into this time crystal botany, y'all. I am into it. I have been since the beginning of the pandemic, I've gotten really into succulents, where I get a succulent and I just try to grow it into a full-grown cactus. And I'm just thinking I could really up my game if I could get one of those time crystals.
Get it.
We'll take clippings, please. Share the clippings.
Time crystal clippings.
So, do we have any time crystal observations? There was a lot of imagery with the time crystals. You had a time bridge over some time lava going over to the, I don't know if it was time lava, but lots of time crystals.
The one thing I noticed is that it's in the intro. And so now I know what it is floating around in the intro.
What do you mean it's floating around in the intro?
In the intro to the show, like it's one of the design elements. There's a crystal floating around, like with the spacesuit and the eyeball close up.
So thank you, Maia, just Maia for the win, because we were saying this like 5 or 6 episodes ago. Watch the beginning and then watch the beginning every episode, because it's like a little you're getting all the clues. It's full of spoilers. It's full of spoilers.
I saw it.
I love it.
All right. Well, I want to make sure I'm not taking us too long. Are there any last Boreth? I'm giving you one last chance for Boreth observations.
I just want to honor that there's that bridge of time, that time bridge, and then we get to the pillars of the past and the present and the key. It was just so much beautiful design, and just him. I really thought it was sexy that the key like got pulled out and then like put in the little in the place where the key goes. Like that was super. I don't know. I was just I was into the design this planet a lot.
I was seeing the very loose logics of like time crystal science and how they use it, and I found it very interesting, because in other shows it's been hinted that Vulcans hate science, and I'm like, seems like Vulcans were pretty like they know some stuff. Can I just do one last observation though before we leave the design conversation, which is there was this shot where the shuttle, as they were going to Section 31, the shot leaving the back end of Discovery, it was huge. I didn't realize that the ship was that big. But watching one ship go out the back end, huge, gigantic bay.
I would just
they did capture that asteroid. Is that the same place they captured the asteroid?
Yes.
The dark matter asteroid?
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this is the first time I've seen more. It just felt like there was a lot of it was like a hangar bay that felt more Star Wars than Star Trek. I'm not used to seeing so much Star Trek business in the hangar bay. And in the shuttle bay and seeing shuttles. And then there was like a little shuttlecraft that had 2 legs, or some kind of craft that had 2 legs. So so much in that shuttle bay, we don't even know.
Well, thank you all for indulging me with a little Discovery back-end observations. I was so impressed. It was so gigantic. So thank you for indulging me. And that brings us to the close of Discovery Design this week.
Yes. And I want to take a second and give a shout out to our podcast listeners. Thank you for your support as we grow this little show. Your likes and subscribes mean a lot. Please, if you've got a second, just send us a tweet at Trek_table and let us know your thoughts. #TT29.
And now, as we head into our second musical break, or our third musical break, Trek Table question number 2. Star Trek loves casting actors in multiple roles, such as Kenneth Mitchell as Cole Shaw, Danavik, Aurelio. What actors have you loved in various roles across Star Trek? Or, for our Star Trek newbies, who would you like to see in multiple roles across Star Treks? And welcome back. We are starting off, for those of us listening, you can we're showing a visual image of Kenneth Mitchell, the actor Kenneth Mitchell, in the full Tanavik makeup. Tanavik. I keep mispronouncing this poor Klingon's name, but he has control over time and space, so I'm not too worried. But I'm wondering, y'all, what are some actors that you have enjoyed in multiple roles across Star Trek, or is there an actor that you've wanted to see play multiple roles? Just curious. Let's start with another old head, Dela. I know you watch several of the Star Treks. Who's an actor you've enjoyed playing multiple roles?
We hear her every week. I would say Majel Barrett, who is the wife of Gene Roddenberry, mother of Eugene Roddenberry. Nurse Chapel, voice of the computer, Laxwana Troy. Like, I'm sure she's done all kinds of other things, but yeah, she
number one.
Yeah, yes, she was the original number one. So yeah, I would say Majel Barrett, and then I would hope that I mean, she didn't never get to play other stuff, but Rosalind Chow, she just always is Keiko O'Brien. Like, I'm just curious, like, are there others? Well, I guess, yeah, she should. I don't know. I just want to see more women of color reoccur on Star Trek in general.
So agreed.
Agreed. Well, for some reason, my computer's deciding to be a little freezy, so I'm just going to randomly pick someone. I'm going to randomly pick Maya Mama. Hey, Maya Mama, what's your opinion?
Jeffrey Combs is my answer for that, because he's played like a million of them. Because he's played like, I think, almost every single race. He's played humans, Romulans. He's played Ferengi. He's played but he's a prolific. Yes, the Vorta. He's really been a prolific Star Trek actor. And also I like him as the Question on Justice League Unlimited.
I knew he was the Question. Oh, that's amazing. Well, you stole my answer. I was going to go with Jeffrey Combs, so I'm going to have to pick someone else. I'm going to give everyone the heads up that my computer is doing a full meltdown, so I no longer have access to our script, but I'm going to keep on going and go with Maya Chinchilla. What is your, who's an actor that you would like to see in multiple roles?
Well, I did look up somebody just because I was like, it is interesting how they have reused a lot of actors. So Diana Muldaur, who played Dr. Kate Pulaski, the one who replaced...
Oh, yeah, she was in the original.
Yes, Gates McFadden's Beverly Crusher. I didn't know she was in the original, and she looks like a hottie. She's a hottie in as a doctor, and also in both roles she was a doctor. So I thought that was pretty cool. I'm pretty sure there's been some like gay Klingons, but I'm like, hey, what would Wilson Cruz look like? How would he be as a gay Puerto Rican Klingon? Being all aggressive.
Would he be Puerto Rican Klingon or just Klingon?
Claudia, let me have my dreams.
He could be born in Puerto Rico.
Maybe he's a species adoptee.
It's true.
I mean,
it's true.
Worf had Russian parents, right? Worf had Russian parents?
He did. He was adopted by Russian parents. You're completely right. I'm rescinding this, and I actually now really do want to see the Klingon that is adopted by Puerto Rican parents and then is raised. That's beautiful. Lulu, who's an actor that you would like to see in multiple roles?
I got a second having Wilson Cruz as a Puerto Rican Klingon. I'll add the actress Sandra Son. Like, I've only ever known her as like a cop detective, like on The Wire, or as a Laverne on The Chi, which she was pretty tragic mother. Like, it's a very heavy story. But it's so nice to see her in and beyond space and, skipping through time and space. So Dr. Gabrielle Burnham, Mama Burnham, I'd like to continue seeing her in different versions of past, future, different versions of the multiverse.
Mm-hmm. And y'all, our timing is perfect because I just got our script back. And my answer is Tim Russ. Tim Russ is one of those actors where you never knew what Tim Russ looked like because he was always playing like Klingons and stuff under all this makeup. And then he got like a lead role on Voyager, and you got to hang out with him as an actor. And I really enjoy because I'm one of those nerds that I track an actor and I like to see them in different costumes doing stuff. Those are my favorite actors. I tend to root for them. For like Jeffrey, I feel like I've got a relationship with Jeffrey because I've been rooting for Jeffrey. I'm one of those nerds. So yeah, mm-hmm. Tim Russ, all the way, who ended up playing a lead on Voyager.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's Trek Table question number 2.
Yes, and we just want to say one more shout out to our podcast listeners out there. Feel free to jump in here like Señorito Chorizo. He is talking today. He has lots of opinions. He wants us to know. Yes, he wants us to know. If you want to comment on this episode, comment to us on Twitter at Trek_table and consider the hashtag TT29 so we know you're talking about this episode. Thanks so much to everybody who's watching us here live on Outside In YouTube and all of our listeners on the podcast.
And now it's that point in the show when we head into our dance break as we head into Space Runway! All right.
Some of the eye-catching looks from function to fashion in the 23rd century. Space Runway.
Welcome to Space Runway. This week we are doing highlights from season 2, episode 12. We have 7 looks today. Starting with look number 7, Pike's parka. Must be cold in the monastery. Pike is suited up here with a thigh-length gray leather parka with a white fluffy collar, Federation emblem on the chest, and very sleek covered snaps, keeping him cozy and ready to see his future. This look feels a lot like the Bronx wear in December, minus the Timberlands. Look number 6, Klingon guards in the temple tonight.
Klingons to the left of you, Klingons to the right. Pike is stuck in the middle of you. All right, so these 2 guards, they have matchy robes, dusty gold and black, but different color skin. The female presenting one has a beautiful orange skin with piercing eyes, and then that other kind of uncle-looking Klingon with the green skin and the long goatee. Feels like there might be some elves and a dragon coming soon, but that uncle will say, "Thou shalt not cross my batleth."
Look number 5, the Guardian of Time.
Raised the son of none, but actually the son of Vok and Chancellor Laurel. Tenavik, I don't know what it is. I default to pronouncing words in Spanish. Well, Tenavik rocks a dramatic Franciscan robe-type hoodie and drapes his lotus silk white twist down past his shoulders. He wears a Roman-like metallic half-circle crown that emphasizes his glorious rich Klingon cranium. We see that Tenavik has come a very long way from that Benjamin Button baby face we all fell in love with a few scenes back. And he is now a graceful and ghostly Klingon monk with similar albino features as his father Vok. Before the Tyler situation, that is.
That's right. Look number 4, Love, Loss, and Tattoos.
When Reno goes to sick bay for a hangnail, Culber notices her 2-toned tattoo-like wedding ring on her index finger. They reminisce about planning weddings, but Reno reveals she lost her Susian wife and uses the ring as an opportunity to remind Culber of his connection with Stamets that everyone can see. Maybe they can heal together and can get back to figuring out how to save all sentient life as we know it.
Yeah, right. Look number 3, Hollow Mom.
Is it just me, or is Amanda the only one who looks good as a hologram? I can see why Pike doesn't like them, because she's the only one that shines here in this soft focus of her blue robe dress with the hood and that drape across the chest and the beautiful bronze woven belt at her waist.
Look number 2, Spock's chest hair.
Oh yeah, Boppy. Spock's chest hair is a whole character in and of itself, well deserving of its own fandom page. Did you all notice this unzipped jacket and scoop neck t-shirt before? All I see in this look is a field of Vulcan chest hair gracing the room, entering the conversation before Spock does.
Yes, gets his own look. Look number 1, Laurel as Hordak. Follow me here. Chancellor Laurel is back, and this time in a black textured leather cape down to her ankles with structured neck, guard collar, metal shouldered armor. But then she's got this leather corset-like top with shiny red cutouts, completing the look, serving kind of a Klingon evil Lyn plus Skeletor's henchman, Hordak from She-Ra's Masters of the Universe. I got it. Yeah, what do you think? Yes. And that's Space Runway for this week. Thanks, nerds, for indulging me in space fashion talk, fashion form and function in the future.
All right, and welcome back. We are now in the thematic section of our Trek Table, episode number 29. And here's where we get to braid it all together. We get to go into the deep dive for our themes, insights, and reflections this week. Super excited to talk about 4 little topics today. So our first topic is control in disguise. We've been talking through Discovery Design as well as a little bit in Runway, just Gant. We get Burnham, we get Spock's chest hair kind of making an appearance on the shuttlecraft, right? We get a lot of sister-brother jokies. But I just wanted to check in and just ask, like, we had Leela Troll last week. This week we have Gant. How you feeling about control? We learned this week that Burnham is officially the target. I feel like a lot of us kind of wanted to have that said a long time ago, but it's really helpful to understand that now. Maya Mama, I'm wondering if I can come to you first. Thoughts on this topic, control in disguise?
Well, this felt to me immediately suspicious. Because we all know how Burnham is.
Mm-hmm.
She's, because of her constant constant feelings of responsibility and guilt. And so she sees a past crewmate, but we see her constant guilt, especially what happened at the Battle of the Binary stars, and he mentions it like, oh, I haven't been the same since that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it really felt like somebody was playing her like a violin.
Mm-hmm.
And it also felt that Spock noticed and was also suspicious, but not like, he's like, I'm not going to say anything, but this feels like her feelings are being manipulated a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Maya Chinchilla, what say you? How are you feeling about Gant and disguise as control, or control disguised as Gant?
I mean, yeah, I went down, I was like, this is a little bit too perfect, that we find this person. But also before that, I was like, was she really thinking she was going to go on this supposedly small mission on her own? Like she was planning to I'm just going to check out the control spaceship, or that didn't check in, 10 minutes, or checked in 10 minutes late. She's all like, oh, I don't need you to go, big brother. And I was like, yeah, she needs him to go because she can be a little bit more emotionally manipulated than he can.
This is my big fat opinion. I think that Control is just like, Control wants to be the only sentient life in all of the world, and all Control's job has been is to study people's brains and to guess the most horrible things people would ever do. So I'm like, oh, Control is like all about getting inside your head, and like gets inside Burnham's head in like an emotionally manipulative way. It's so sick. On multiple levels. It kind of I like stories that are that make you ask, what makes a person a person? What is a soul? What is a body? So like, like stories like from like the Battlestar Galactica reboot, where they just where it just makes you ask, like, we know that Gant is dead. Control inside Gant, is that a different person than Control inside Leland? It's just so gross and freaky and weird, but fascinating.
I love it. And our guest, Lulu, I want to invite you into this conversation. Yeah, do you think there's a algorithm for manipulation here? What's your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I was trying to think of some of the same questions that Maya raised, right? Like, how is it? Is it scanning brain, feelings, memory to very, in a very insidious way, manipulate and get to Michael Burnham? I thought it was just creepy the way that Control is able to manipulate every aspect of the human body, right? There's the feelings, the memories, speech, vitals, body, right? Like it's able to replicate like being alive in very much like a zombie would. And even after the shootout, we see how Control is able to move through and out of Gant in just the creepiest, like, puppeteering zombie-like form. But I did find solace in knowing that when the robots begin to go to war with us, that, once the Wi-Fi is cut off, the batteries run out, juice is done, or magnetism hits the floor, we get the leg up. So there was some solace in that.
Okay.
All right. That makes me feel better on the days when the triples get into the Jeffrey tubes. Yes. All right. So thank you for that topic number 1. I'm going to cruise us into topic number 2, which is Pike and his visit to Boreth, meeting to Navik. I was really moved by him just having that moment with Laurel and Tyler about I was destined to see your son. And it sets us up to connect to canon about who Pike is. I know a couple of you have some pretty exciting thoughts. So let's weave through this topic a little. Maia, I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about kind of your thoughts on this episode with Pike, how it might connect maybe to previous things we know about Pike.
Well, it was this moment where, having already watched, is it called the Menagerie? I forget.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 and 2.
Original. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the original series. So when Pike first comes on the scene, I watched the episode, the original pilot that they end up kind of repurposing in the Menagerie. I felt in the original series it was really kind of glossed over. You know, it was really kind of terrible. You know, how he's in this like robotic square machine that keeps him even alive, and at least in this version, maybe it's my positive thinking like, well, he sort of embraces his future even though he knows what's going to happen to it. So yes, he's horrified, but he doesn't run away from it. He's still playing the hero.
I appreciate that. And Claudia, I wonder if you want to jump in here and let's talk a little bit about kind of this future that he's shown. I mentioned, I think, a little bit. It just really struck me the disability politics of it all. And I wonder if we could just check in about that, because I know we've been having conversations about augmentation this season and kind of what we see with the augmented humans in our world. And here we have Pike facing this moment of a future possible.
Yeah, and like in a previous episode, Maia, you were reflecting on how it felt like there were some problematic pieces to the way they were telling this story, making a disabled identity into like a scary thing where it's like, oh, do you want it to be the bad, horrible thing? And making the disabled identity into something to be a horrible path. And I would say 100% in the original, that's definitely how it was framed. And it was also framed in a way where you couldn't live as a disabled person and have a life. The only thing you could do is go to another planet where big-brained aliens could like imagine you into a different thought or a different world. That said, I watched The Menagerie before I was disabled. I have an acquired disability, and my disability has me in constant pain. I live in like a level 5 to 7 pain at all times. And I do wonder if someone came to me and was like, here's a time crystal. Do you want to guarantee your life right now? And would it give you a chance to stop the COVID crisis? I'd say yes, even in the knowledge that there's pain in being alive. So I feel like they're always trying to fix things with Star Trek Discovery, but this gave me more to think about.
Yes. Lulu, I want to invite you into this moment. Your thoughts on this topic?
Really quickly, it just took me back to the end of the episode, which I won't say too much, but seeing the split-second decision-making that Pike makes, knowing and accepting his fate, it didn't even make him question such a crazy radical move that Burnham suggests, right? Because he accepts it, he knows what it is, and he's making decisions based on this is the future and there is no questioning. So that ability of just knowing for sure and moving with all that confidence in whatever direction. That was neat.
Yes. Awesome. And last thoughts on this topic. Maya Mama, what's resonating for you?
You know, the way when right after he was horrified and shocked about what was going to happen to him, but he reminded himself of who he was as a person. Like, this is who I am, and I am the person who will take up the crystal no matter what. And he psyched himself into it to do it, and then he did it, and I just thought it was really great.
Awesome. I love it. Let's the last thing I want to say about Pike is I find over and over again he is an interesting model, allegory, exploration of what a white cis hetero ally really looks like, and what does that leadership look like, and what does it mean to come into a space humbly and say, I don't have a weapon, but I'm here to be of service. I was just really inspired by one of my favorite interruption scenes of Pike when Burnham's like, why are we doing this? It's at the top of this episode where he just takes a breath. He's like, I know you want to go, but this is not what's up. So I just want to just appreciate the just all the different things that we're seeing from Pike in this moment. All right, so we're gonna go to these last two topics. We're gonna do a little bit of a lightning round here because we got to dig in deep to these previous two topics. Let's visit. We're on Boreth. We're seeing, head of the monastery, Tanavik, who in our timeline was just a babe, a wee babe, just weeks ago. And it brings us to the House of Nun, right? Even though Laurel is also from the House of Mokai, but we also get Ash, aka Vok, plus Tanavik. So let's check in a little bit, one or two sentences on our thoughts about the House of Nun, the House of Laurel. What do you think about this intersectional family moment? Claudia, I'm going to jump to you first.
Well, Klingons are always delivering with those generational trauma stories, right? Because it's all about the houses. It's all about what happened with my father. It's all about, do I get to honor my family? What is the shame my family has in society? And in this episode, we get to see the results of generational trauma, but also the results of generational healing. Because Tanavik was up on Boreth for a hot second, but that's actually forever with those time crystals. Mm-hmm. And Boreth was able to give back the emblem of the House of Nun back to his father, and returning that felt like a real healing moment for that whole family.
Thank you for that. Maia, what say you? Your thoughts on the House of Nun?
Even though his line "time will tell" was a little cliche, the way he said it, "time will tell." I mean, I'm not, it was. I appreciated it, and also I love the idea of time running in a different way, and maybe that helps with that kind of healing, and and he's really found his place. Like, he's not just some discarded child. He's actually found his way.
Yes. All right. Lightning topic number 4 is Culber, Stamets, and Reno in this episode. The queer fam bam does not disappoint. I so appreciate that the writers, Boyoung Kim and Erica Lipple, really gave us some more chunkity chunks with Culber. We get to see Stamets being super thirsty in the in the cafeteria when the Austinalist is there. We get all the things with Reno. So let's just jump right in. Where are you at with the Space Daddies in this episode and Auntie Reno? Maia, Chinchilla, I'm going to come to you first.
Girl, that longing, that love, that... I mean, we know they need to be together, but also I'm sure it's been great for them to have time apart to really reflect it. But girl, that tragic love. I hope they can figure it out.
Right. Maya Mama, what say you on the Space Daddies?
Well, I think a lot of this was just about Reno pointing out what a gift that they've been given, a gift that she herself would probably give quite a bit to have. And she's just like, get your shit together, guys.
I do think one of my favorite Hugh barbs is when he sprays her with the Bactine or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" He's like, "Medical attention." So there it is. All right, and that, and there's always things left to say in thematics, but we wouldn't be complete if we didn't jump into the spoiler zone. And if you're watching the show in synchronous order, this is an opportunity for you to not listen to some of us while we talk on and on about the things we know that are coming and have been and will be and hope for. And so if you're listening on the podcast, you're going to want to listen and watch your time codes and come back in about 2.5 minutes. And if you're watching on visuals, wait till our screens turn green. We'd love to welcome you back. All right. All of that being said, Rochelle, let's go into that spoiler zone.
Incoming transmission.
I'll kick us off because I really need a spinoff that's just that takes place in an alternate universe that is the Spock and Michael show. This episode gives me them as a pair. It is magic. It is awesome, and I know I don't get that. I know I'm going to lose this pairing, and I'm mad about it. Yay for all the other spinoffs! Could they give me an alternate universe with Michael Burnham and Spock's having adventures?
I love it.
Wouldn't be bad.
I love it.
You put it in the Abramverse.
There you go.
In the Kelvinverse.
But are we already in the Kelvinverse with all the lens flares? I mean, I had a couple of moments of like, oh, there's a little too many lens flares for me in this episode.
They claim they're in the original universe, and I think they're all lying to themselves. I don't think it's possible. I disagree.
Yes.
Well, something that I kept noticing is in this episode, they kept sort of hinting that, like, isn't it weird how we ended up at this place? And like, Saru's Vahari made it so that he was more willing to work with them. And it was like everything was planned. Isn't that weird? And I just think it's so interesting, the causality that goes into everything. And that's why the signals are there, because, it's all Michael.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say, before we rewatch this episode, this was not one of my favorite episodes in the season. I mean, I certainly am like, I'm hippity hop excited about episode 13 and 14, Such Sweet Sorrow, part 1 and 2. But to be in this episode, to do this ritual with everybody, it just, it gave me a moment of just like, respect to Pike and like what's about to go down. And then just honoring that Laurel and Ash finally had a moment where Laurel's like, I get it, dude. You still really love Michael. And I really love Vogue, and that's who we are. And they get this closure with the kid, and, they get the torchbearer button back or insignia back. So I feel happy for them. I think part of me still, and I think we had in one of a prep conversation, I will just say I had some disagreements with some basic lighting on Laurel in the ready room.
Agreed.
I felt like
agreed.
She didn't get quite as somebody with a wide face, big cheeks, and a nose, like I felt for her in the camera angles. So
she's Klingon hot. I'm spelling hot, HAWT. She's Klingon hot, and they were not lighting her to look her best.
Yeah. And I will say Mary Chieffo, the actor who plays Laurel, is hot in real life. So yeah, girl, we see you under all that makeup.
Even though I don't think we're going to see her as a character again.
Maybe
data is complete.
Maybe in Strange New Worlds.
Ooh,
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yes. Or in the Section 31 show. We'll see. So, all right. Welcome back to the listeners who have been looking at your time codes. Hello, Maya Chinchilla. Welcome back. We had some spoiler zone time. You had some post-it doodle time. I wonder, Maya, can you share your doodle with us? Describe it for those folks listening on the podcast. What did you doodle today?
Well, I also probably chose the most difficult body part, I think, to draw. But this is Tig's ring on her hand. So I just have the pointer finger and the thumb. A very last minute thumb. Last minute thumb. But yeah, the ring was so simple. It was like it looked like a tattoo, but then there was also like a little silver band around it.
I love
like a little diamond shape. So
right. And we did talk, I don't know if we said this on air, but the Susian species that Jet Reno's wife is part of was invented for or first named in this episode. So we welcome the Susians to the Trek multiverse. Super excited to learn more. Or Sausians, it looks like soy. So we'll see. But you know what? Those are our thoughts today for Thematics for Star Trek Discovery Season 2, Episode 12, The Valley of the Shadows. Thank you so much for joining us.
And if you're enjoying this conversation, support us at patreon.com/TrekTable.
And now we are heading into our final Trek Table question. Question number 3. If you could touch a time crystal, would you touch it? And would you dare to see what it shows you? Would you touch it?
Touch it.
All right, my friends, I'm putting you in Pike's place. If you could touch a time crystal, would you? Would you dare to see what that time crystal was going to show you? All right, Maya, would you touch a time crystal?
I'm a Pisces, so I already see the future. But yes, only to confirm what I already know. But it seems like it only shows negative things, so I don't think I should.
All right, Lulu, how about you? You touching it, not touching it?
I'm a Taurus. Don't like surprises. I'm touching.
Okay, bet. So we got Lulu's going to touch it. Maya's not going to touch it. Maya Mama, how about you? You going to touch a crystal?
Well, I'm a Scorpio, and I don't like being told that I shouldn't touch things or pick them up.
All All right, excellent. So Maya Mama's definitely touching. She's going to see the future. De La, how about you? Are you going to touch it? Going to touch a crystal?
I'm going to go there too. I'm a Scorpio. You know I'm going to touch it because I'm going to have all the feelings about it and keep it to myself and feel all like whatever with the universe and be all scorpionic about it.
Yes. I love that you were able to bring in the science of astrology as we are having this very scientific exploration of the science of time crystals. I myself am also a Pisces, Maya, and I actually don't know a lot, but I do know that my other sign is a Scorpio, like whatever that thing is, it's your opposite sign. So now I'm not sure what I'm going to do, right? I'm in the middle. Am I going to touch it? Am I not going to touch it? Only touching a time crystal could tell us. That's right. and those are the Trek Table questions for this episode, this season 2, episode 12, Through the Valley of the Shadows.
All right, so we are walking through the Time Crystal Valley and trying to share all the things. We here at the Trek Table, we do strive to hold space for Black, Indigenous, Brown, women of color, and we want to amplify resources and highlight the work of women of color content creators, community builders, and world shapers. So we have 2 booths today. I'm just gonna share a little bit. I want to just personally invite folks to come and watch the 2021 Artists at Play readings. They have a new reading series of new work, and I'm gonna have a great opportunity to direct a brand new play called Nan by Noah Gardner, featuring Sarah Malia Hatfield, Christine Jamlig, Leleae Kahelepuna Wong, Kaliko Kauahi, and Joran Young. It's an all Indigenous women cast. This show is going to stream on the internet on October 2nd at 10 a.m. Hawaii time, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And just a little bit about that show. Nan is a multi-generational family story of 3 Hawaiian women on the island of Oahu. Nan, the strong-willed matriarch, her estranged daughter Alice, and her feisty teenage granddaughter Maddie. Lots of complex things in this play. We're going to drop the links in the chat. Registration is free, and we hope that you will join us. Maya Mama, can you share the last signal boost for today?
Absolutely. We want to congratulate Star Trek Discovery's visual effects teams for winning an Emmy last week. The Emmy was for outstanding special visual effects in a single episode for season 3, episode 11, Su'Kal. Discovery now joins The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise as Star Trek series Emmy winners for visual effects. Special shout outs to Charles Collier and the whole visual effects team.
Yes. And if you have a woman of color content creator that you want us to help amplify, please let us know in our DMs at Trek Table on Instagram or at Trek_Table on Twitter. And those are our signal boosts for Trek Table episode number 29. All right, we've discovered that this is a water sign heavy table. Thank goodness for Lulu as the earth sign to ground us into all the things. So we're about to do this final thoughts. We were so glad everybody joined us for this episode of Trek Table number 29. As is the case every week, we do our final thoughts at the end of the show. And so we're still talking about Star Trek Discovery season 2, episode 12. Maya Mama, can I ask you to go first?
Yeah, what I wanted to do was share a little conspiracy thought that I had, and that is Klingons, I think, have messed with time so much with those time crystals that they themselves, it's changed how they look in every different Star Trek series. And I think that it's because of all the time travel, because Laurel says that it's really bad, and so we don't use it anymore, which means they used to use it. So they have changed the timeline.
Okay, gonna throw down some conspiracy theories with the Klingons and the crystals. All right, thank you, Maya Mama. Maya Chinchilla, your final thought for this episode.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but I just want to say that I super appreciate, as someone who, also became physically disabled later on in life, I super appreciate folks involved in the disability justice movement. That when that happened in my own life, I didn't think it was like the end, if I wasn't going to be able to walk or whatever, that I could see myself having a future. So I just want to say that I appreciate that. And there have been people who've come in and out of my life. And it's still difficult to kind of like talk about it. And even our question about asking for our access needs is still difficult for me. It's something that I'm still like, I don't know, like, can anybody really help or support someone, even if you tell them what you need? So just thinking about that, and trying to live my own kind of, my own path, my own spiritual, heroic, and also self-loving path. So I appreciate Discovery's moments, of trying to have a little bit of that conversation. And I appreciate, being able to have not every disabled person in a media representation have to be heroic, that we have a little bit more complexity in the media and we could actually have a lot more.
Thank you so much. Claudia, your final thought on this episode, season 2, episode 12.
Final thought is I'm still thinking, my mind is still on Vogue and Laurel. I'm thinking about generational trauma and the hope for generational healing and taking a lot of inspiration from that. And I'm hoping that Michael Burnham gets to have some generational healing for her family as well. Maybe she can heal up. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll jump in on that as my final thought. You're kind of, we're doing tag team today. It's great. My final thought is on these quiet moments with Burnham. It starts at the top of the show. She's laying in bed, I think, watching a mom log from Gabrielle Burnham. There's another shot either in this episode or a previous episode where she's watching her mom's logs from, jumping time. And Burnham's face is lined up behind her mom's face. And I just really appreciate the way that we're getting to watch Burnham get to know her mother through these logs, not only for the emotional journey of her mom saying, I'm coming back for you, Michael and Mike, but also like, here's the science of here's what happened. Here's what I'm struggling with. I keep coming back to Terralicium, or control is gonna, So just I'm really resonating with the wisdom that comes from our foremothers, from the matrilineal lines that we come from, and the histories that are passed down, and sometimes the way that we need to collect those histories in order to save our future. And so I just want to connect to that and just say, I'm super happy that Burnham no longer has to carry this burden that she thinks it's her fault that her parents died. And we get so many wonderful moments. And now I agree with Claudia, we need a spin-off show of the Burnham and Spock show. So yeah, my final thought is on Burnham and just her internal process to heal as she tries to discover what's really going on in the universe. So that would be my final thought. I want to invite Lulu Matute, our special guest. Thank you so much for joining us today. Your final thoughts?
Yeah, an honor and a pleasure to be here. Thank you all. This was a lot of fun. My final thought is grounded here on Earth, 2021, and thinking of Pike's sacrifice. It made me think of multi-generational movements and social movements, whether that's to change laws and policies or for land defense, but knowing that leadership has historically sacrificed time, health, energy, life, even in selflessness to others, to the future, for other generations, knowing that that's true here on Earth in present day, and that it makes it possible for us to be together in this virtual space because of leadership like Pike in our own trajectories, in our own lineages, who have sacrificed and shown that selflessness for us to be here and continue moving forward. So that's my final thought.
Okay. Thank you. Well, and those are our final thoughts for this Star Trek Discovery episode, season 2, episode 12, Through the Valley of the Shadows. So we just want to say thank you for all that. I'm going to ask us to take a quick breath because we're about to transition. So just take that breath in. Those final thoughts for this episode. Yeah, exhale. All right. Before we think about the next Star Trek episode, I just want to say, if you're watching us on the Outside In YouTube channel and you're having a great time and you're looking for some funny tonight, every Sunday night after the Trek table, there is a Sunday night improv at 7 o'clock Pacific time on the Outside In Theater channel. And tonight we're super excited to bump and pump our friends Cold Tofu, the oldest Asian American improv troupe in the country. Super excited. They're also a diverse troupe, and they've got some funny lined up for you. So hang out on the Outside In Theater YouTube channel for their show at 7:00.
And we hope that you're going to be joining us next Sunday, October 3rd, when we talk about episode 13 of season 2 of Star Trek Discovery, Such Sweet Sorrow, part 1. The end of season 2 is almost here. We will be discussing the penultimate episode of this season.
All right, so we want to say thank you all so much for joining us for this Trek Table. Get first look at the Trek Table questions, inside scoops, and more when you sign up for our mailing list at trektablepodcast.com.
And take us with you on that car ride in your pocket. Find Trek Table Podcasts on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Also, remember to like and subscribe to this channel on YouTube so that you can get more Star Trek Table in your algorithms.
Like and subscribe to us on Instagram at Trek Table and on Twitter at Trek_Table. Join our convos there and please comment using the hashtags hashtag Trek Table, hashtag BIWOC Trek, and hashtag Star Trek Discovery.
Yes, and as we close out this ritual, I just finally want to say thank you so much to our Trek Table assembled here today. Thank you for holding down this ritual. I want to say thank you to our regular hosts, Claudia Alick, Maya Chinchilla, and Maia Mills-Low. And I, of course, want us to give a big round of applause and gratitude and thank you to our guests today, Lulu Matute. Let's give them a lot of energy and love. Yes. And as we wrap up this episode, we just kind of want to ground ourselves a little bit in what we started with, what we were holding Trek Space with at the top of this show. So we started this show by holding Trek Space for leaders willing to go the distance for what they believe. For folks taking a look at themselves, because as you walk through the valley of the shadows, you might look back at your life and realize there is nothing left. For anybody who might have been honestly triggered by some of the images of Haitians at the border. For anyone making mistakes and moving right through them. And finally, to our communities and extended families in transit throughout the U.S.-Mexico border regions. For the migrants and asylum seekers struggling to find a safe place to call home. We, too, envision better worlds. So let's go ahead and breathe in those Trek Table things that we're holding Trek Space for as we hold all of that space. Breathe in. And exhale. And before we go, we just want to say thank you so much to the Trek Table executive producers, Alison De La Cruz and Lulu Matute, production coordinator Brandon Chang, OBS operator Rochelle Wasserman, stage manager Ariana Michelle, OBS operator Rochelle Wasserman again. We just want to love on you, Rochelle. Great job. Artist coordinator Terry Hashimoto, social media manager Isil Borlasa, and of course our new social media associate, Jimena Martinez.
Also, deep gratitude and thanks to Outside In Theater, with extra thanks to Paul, Matt, Jessica, Danny, and Tamlin.
And thanks to Dr. Deborah Carter, Doc Zulu, and Nancy Yap, and our partners at Visual Communications.
Trek Table is a service mark of Daylaw Projects, LLC.
Awesome. We want to say thank you so much for joining us here at the Trek Table for this episode 29. This ritual has been amazing and transformative for me personally. I hope folks are getting energized with it. We just want to say thanks, and let's go ahead and close this ritual, this episode today. Go ahead, take your breath one last time. Breath in. And exhale out. Yes, and we want to welcome all this joy and music and say, come back and join us Monday, October 3rd, as we dive into Season 2, Episode 13 of Star Trek Discovery, Such Sweet Sorrow, Part 1. We'll meet you back here at 4 o'clock for the Trek Table on Outside In's channel on YouTube. See you on 10-3. We'll be holding Trek Space for you until then. Have a great week.